Hello, welcome to Blinkers Off. Good to be with you. I am Greg Wolf, filling in for Matt Carruthers, who knows where he is. Somewhere in Vegas, lights out by a pool, probably has no idea where he is. But filling in for him this week and looks like maybe next week as well. With me is Rich Perloff from the Handicap. Rich, you have that mad scientist look about you right now. You've been poring over these races we have, haven't you?
Of course, Greg. I need to be fully prepped and on my game to tangle with you, sir.
It'll be fun. We got a lot of good races to talk about. Of course, opening day at Fairplex. I assume you're going to be making a trip out to the LA County Fair.
You know, I was checking the schedule, and I didn't see my name listed for any Fairplex gigs, which is a little bit strange.
I can get you tickets.
I'm wondering what I've done wrong. I'm being punished, obviously.
I know people. If you want to go, let me know.
Absolutely. I love the fair.
All right, so opening day today. They've actually trimmed down the meet a little bit. A couple fewer racing days, not as many thoroughbred races as well, so they hope to have stronger fields at the meet this year. The opening day feature, as we take a look at some of the highlights, the Barrett's Debutante, the Juvenile, Pomona Derby, September 24th, and then the Ralph M. Hines Pomona Invitational later in September. That's the 25th, worth $75,000. But the opening day feature we'll get to in here in just a minute. That's the Beverly Lewis short field, which we'll touch upon here in a moment. But there is the beautiful scenes out there at the Bull Ring in Pomona. And Rich, just the last couple of days, this part of LA, it has been blazing hot. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like out there.
Well, it's going to be typical Los Angeles County fair weather, and folks will be out there in their tank tops and eating deep fried goodies and loving life.
All right, well, here is the field for the Beverly Lewis. Just a 5-horse field. California Nectars 3-5. It's Martin Pedroza. What are we setting the over-under at for wins for Pedroza, by the way?
Well, how many racing days do we have? Just multiply that by 4, and I guess you've got the right number.
All right, here's a look at California Nectar in action. This was on the turf at Del Mar. I mean, in terms of what she's accomplished on her resume, she's head and shoulders above this group. Never run at Fairplex, though.
Right, but she has won on dirt. She's a grade 2 winner, in fact, on conventional dirt at Santa Anita. Yeah, as you say, she is by far the most accomplished entrant in this field and probably warrants 3-5, which is what the morning line is. I'll take a shot against her. I suspect you will too.
I won't. I don't. There's no way she gets beaten here. I think she just jumps to the front. No one's going to be within a sniff of her, and I think she's long gone with Pedroza. But for me, I just think she's probably going to be. She might be 1-5 in here.
Oh, she probably will be, and I'll still try to beat her.
Yeah, why not? I mean, why not take a shot? I did not try and beat her. Who are you going to wind up with?
I'm going to go to the 4-horse here, True Way of Grace. When you were looking at the meet highlights, you had the Barrett's Debutante. Well, guess what? This filly's only career win came in the Barrett's Debutante Stakes. So she broke her maiden in a $100,000 race. She's been good enough that trainer Alexis Barber has run her against some very, very sharp fillies. Mayday Rose, Turbulent Descent, a couple of graded stakes tries. I think that nice closing third-place finish going one turn at Del Mar sets her up for this. Remember, if you're new to Fairplex racing, it's a 5/8 mile oval, which means that 6.5 furlongs is a 2-turn race. You've got to look to see that horses have A, run well at Fairplex in the past, and B, have handled 2-turn races in their past performances.
Yeah, that's the thing. I did not try and beat her. I'm going to try and load up and get all my money early, Rich, in this race at 1-5.
Okay, Martin Pedroza in the 5-horse field at Fairplex. Well done, Greg.
Here's the thing. I mean, she's a grade 2 winner on dirt, and for me, it was taking a shot against someone who does not have a chance in this race. But you never know. That's the X factor.
She's not been. Make yourself feel better about it. I understand.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, she's not been on this track here at Fairplex, but I think she's going to handle it just fine. And I think she is long gone and wins that for Pedroza. His first of, I'm going to call it, 48 wins.
Okay, that's
at the meet at Fairplex.
That's a healthy number.
Okay. All right, so that is the feature on opening day. Let's get to Belmont, and they have coming up this weekend a marathon, mile and 3/8, Rich, on the turf here in the Grade 2 Bowling Green as we take a look at the Fall Championship meet schedule. This Bowling Green is the first of 31 stakes races over the 37 cards they're going to have at this meet. A lot of very important races, Rich, and runners we're going to see, obviously, on Championship weekend. In terms of the Bowling Green, weather-wise, 30% chance of rain on Saturday. It's going to be in the low 80s. So, tough call. This turf course has got a lot of water over the last few days, but it looks like it has a chance to dry out and could be firm for Saturday. Sanagas for Grand Motion Rich is the morning line favorite, and off that performance in that John's Call, Grand Motion actually considered putting him right into the Grade 1 Joe Hurst Turf Classic Invitational. Could still be an option depending on how he does in this race over the weekend.
Well, what we know based on his run in the John's Call, and that was blinkers on that day, is that he has no problem staying the trip. We probably knew that already from his European form. Yeah, he looks solid in here. The John's Call, a restricted stakes race, so you've got to consider this a jump up in class. I think Sanagas looks good in here. But once again, I'll take a little bit of a swing against. I'm going to go to the 5-horse here, Colonialism, who seems to be on the improve for Bill Mott, a son of Empire Maker out of a Nashwan mare, has every right to relish this trip and seems to be effective from either close to the pace or from well off the pace. And I'll take a shot for Colonialism to move forward yet again.
Wow, there's 2 Clement runners in here, and you and I, we're not going with either of them here. He has Sal the Barber. He also has Grassy. Grassy, he said, give an excuse in that Sky Classic because he said he was not completely fit. But again, he's slightly undertrained for this race coming up because of the weather issues. I did go to Sanagas in this spot. He's going to be your favorite. Grand Motion, though, little concerned. I mean, the horse lugged in at Arlington. He lugged out at Saratoga and went in that race that he won in the John's Call, Rich. They put an extension blinker over his right eye. He's going to go back to just regular blinkers in this race. But if he can kind of sort out those issues, weather-wise, whatever kind of ground it is, Grand Motion does not believe that's going to be an issue for him. I just think he's ultra-talented, and he's going to be able to handle any kind of ground.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, Greg, when I handicapped the John's Call, I didn't think. I remember thinking at the time that wasn't the strongest field I'd seen, so my inclination is to play away from the horses coming out of the John's Call, and Colonialism strikes me as an interesting new shooter in the graded stakes ranks.
Did win it pretty easily, though, and he still was green, so he still has room to move forward. I think that was my take there, so we'll see. But he is going to be a short price. That is coming up on Saturday. We also are going to talk some Belmont on Sunday. The Ashley T. Cole, 1 1/8 over the inner turf. As we take a look at the group that will line up, it's going to be a full 12-horse field. Rich, where are you going to wind up here in the Ashley T. Cole handicap?
I'm going to go to the 8-horse here, Mini Punt. Now, here, the bad news is Mini Punt has not raced in about 13 months. Here's the good news. The last time Mini Punt came off a similar freshening, a lesser freshening, but still about 6 months, he was a winner from off the pace at 27-1, and you know who he beat? He beat Straight Story, who's probably going to be the favorite in the Ashley T. Cole, because Straight Story, whenever he drops into the state-bred ranks, he fires a very effective shot. Mini Punt gets Joe Bravo. That usually has meant good things, that jockey and horse combination, and I think that he's training well enough that we can rely on him to run well in Sunday's feature.
Yeah, Straight Story's going to be tough. He's a horse for course. He's quick. He's a graded stakes winner. I decided to go against him as well, though. I like Compliance Officer in here. He's going to take plenty of money. He's been beaten up on state-bred company the last few starts. He has reeled off 3 in a row. Each of the last couple with Alex Solis. This was one of them. This was the most recent win. This was in the West Point at Saratoga on a turf course. It was labeled good on this afternoon. He won it 1 1/16. He loves it at Belmont, too. He has 4 wins from 11 starts on the Belmont turf. He's a win machine, 7 for 20 lifetime. 4 other times he has been second. I just think this is the sharpest he has ever been in his career. And I think Sunday for him is the day to kind of keep it rolling with him and see if he can win again.
Well, he's been a great claim for Bruce Brown. He's reeled off 3 in a row since he was claimed. Alex Solis obviously fits him. I considered him. There's one other horse we should mention. You're talking about horses that have really thrived on the Belmont grass, and that's the Scott Schwartz owned and trained Pocket Cowboys. John Velasquez takes that call. I don't think John rides very often for this barn. I think Pocket Cowboys got caught behind a particularly slow pace in the West Point last time out. Should go better on Sunday.
Yeah, and that horse versatile too. He could be up close on the lead, or he can sit off as well. He was just beat by Compliance Officer, but he had kind of a wide trip in that spot. So that is coming up on Sunday, the Ashley T. Cole. Were you part of the show last week?
No.
Okay, let's see how the guys did who were on the show last week, and whoever they were. It was Mike Joyce, it was Matt Carruthers. Hopefully we can do a little bit better than they did. Let's see how they did. Mikey, All-American Derby, finished 7th. Jess Cuervo he went with in the Futurity. Meanwhile, Maddie with a nice call with Wee Miss Frankie in the Debutante. Windy Sands, I like Kevlar Kid a lot. I thought it was between these two in that race, and that turned out to be a monster price in that race. Personal Ensign, Mikey coming close at 5-2. Where's the W's here? Is there only one win on this entire week for these guys?
Well, Matt had Wee Miss Frankie.
We Miss Frankie, I think, was it.
Yeah.
Woodward, it was convocation for Maddie. No. Play of the day, 6th for both of them. So just one win. I think we have a good chance to better that.
They set the bar pretty low for us, Greg.
I have offered, though, on this show before, as we take a look at Matt's year so far. Down $49, but not bad at all. He's got a couple of hits, and he's right back in the mix. All right, so we will get into more action coming up, including our Saturday Spotlight race when we come back from a short break. It is the Louisiana Derby. Bob Baffert shipping a horse out to Louisiana down to I'm going against. We'll talk about it next. When Rich and I wrap things up, here's what's to come after Blinkers Off at 9 a.m. Pacific time. TVG Classic 2003 Jockey Club Gold Cup from Belmont Park. Then another edition of TVG Classic with a 2005 Met Mile. And then it's Christina and Rich Perloff return with the morning line at 10 a.m. Pacific. I will see you at 11 a.m. with 58 flat. All right, back to our handicapping. Rich, Super Derby Grade 2. Our Saturday Spotlight race brought to you by WinStar Farm. And Bob Baffert sending out the late developing Prayer for Relief, who is undefeated as a 3-year-old, Rich, and 2 for 2 on dirt so far. He's reeled off 3 in a row.
Unbelievably, they risked this horse for a $50,000 tag as a maiden. They must be breathing a sigh of relief that they didn't lose this one at the claim box. Yeah, he's clearly the horse to beat. And how many times have we seen this? Horses that put up decent numbers on the synthetic racetracks going over and jumping way up on the speed figure scale when they finally get to conventional dirt. No doubt that Prayer for Relief is the horse to beat here for Bob Baffert. But I sense from how you're speaking, though, you did try and beat him. I'm going to go to the rail here. Meistersinger would be very, very tempting to me at anything like that 9-2 morning line. Since he added blinkers 4 starts back, Greg, he's 3 for 4. The only race he lost was the Barbaro Stakes at Delaware, where a horse called I'm Stepping It Up put up just wicked early splits and paid the price. I'm Stepping It Up, tired to finish 6th in that race. The beneficiary of that super fast pace was Awesome Bet, who's also in the Super Derby field, who went last to first to win the Barbaro. I don't think we're going to see that kind of a pace. Meistersinger draws the rail, saves all the ground, can be placed basically wherever Jose Lezcano wants him early. I think warrants the best chance to upset the favorite.
I agree with you. I just thought he ran, in terms of numbers, what he ran on a thoroughgraphs. I looked at the sheets for this race. It is not even close. I mean, he dusted this field off what he ran in that last number. I think because of that, he's going to go off at a much shorter price. He's 9-2 morning line, so I saw him going off a lot lower than what he's at. So I tried to take a shot elsewhere. I went with Trubbs in here for Al Stahl. He's won this race a couple of times before. He won it with my pal Charlie, 2008. He won it last year with a part. Looking for a third victory here with a horse who's 2 for 2 on this track. So we know he likes it here. Doesn't have to ship. He's been training here all along. And he won that Prelude here, which earned him an entry into this race off a 4-month layoff. I know it wasn't the deepest field in the world. A horse named Populist Politics was a horse he was able to nudge out in there who's going to be in this race. Is going to be a long shot as well. But he did it off a long layoff, and we'll see if the 1 1/8 is a little bit too long for him. But he was able to hold on there at 1 1/16, and he does have some pace. I think he'll be forwardly placed in this spot, and I think he's got a lot of upside.
I think it's just cool to see Shane Sellers riding at the top of the profession again after all his well-publicized physical issues, his retirement from the saddle, his comeback. It's just nice to see his name in a field like this.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a great story if he could have a horse who's relevant maybe in the big picture at some point. Maybe Trubbs, we'll see. Alternation, neither of us going to this one, but a horse who has a win, Rich, at 1 1/8. Can he return to that Peter Pan, or do you think maybe that was a one-hit wonder race?
I don't know. You know, I liked him in the Arkansas Derby and paid the price. I was kind of interested in him in the Jim Dandy, so I'm getting on board with Alternation at all the wrong times. I'm going to stay away from him in the Super Derby.
All right, then you got Malibu Glow, too. He'll probably take some money coming out of that Travers. I mean, when you lose by 6 3/4 lengths to Stay Thirsty, though, who's your clear division leader right now, he's coming out of the toughest race of anybody by a mile.
Yeah, I think so, but based on his most recent win, which was a first-level allowance, albeit against older, he would still need to improve off that effort to win the Super Derby.
All right, well, how short do you think Prayer for Relief? He's 9-5 morning line. What do you think he'll go off at in here?
He looks even money. You know, I mean, I think that people will note that his figures are on the ascent, undefeated as a 3-year-old, as you pointed out. Even money, 6-5.
All right, part of the undercard on Super Derby date Sunday. Silence this for 2-year-olds, and it is on the turf at a mile. contentious group. We got 12 in here that's going to line up along with the entry. And the entry, Rich, is favored. 1 Bravo, Indian Assault, the ones to beat. 1 Bravo will be trying the turf and stretching out for the first time, but the other half of the entry did have a 5-length score on the grass, and that's the half of the entry why this entry is favored for Keith DeSormo.
I always find these kind of races curious, Greg. You know, Sunday Silence won the 1989 Super Derby, and it's no wonder they want to have a race named for him on the Super Derby undercard. He never raced on turf. It's just a kind of a curious condition. That being said, I'm going to go to Gung Ho here. Gung Ho was a decent third on grass in his career debut. Then he broke his maiden on the synthetic at Presque Isle Downs. He adds Lasix in career start number 3. He's bred top and bottom to love the turf. He's by Kitten's Joy. He's got 2 full siblings. One of those was a grass winner. Mike Maker, don't need to talk about his percentages. I'll go with Gung Ho on the stretch out and back on the grass in the Sunday Silence.
I came awfully close to using that horse. Yeah, he's a price. I think he's going to be a price too. But yeah, Mike Maker, Kitten's Joy. Thought about it. In the end, I decided to go elsewhere. I went to Easton Jack in here. Easton Jack, that last race from him, his debut on dirt, didn't run at all. He goes on the turf, breaks his maiden at Lone Star. Then he comes to Louisiana Downs, 7.5 furlongs, completely misses the break. And then he had traffic problems after that as well, and he was still able to be right there against Tequila Factor, missed by a half length. If he gets a clean trip, he wins that race for fun. I think he's ultra talented, and I think he's going to run a big race tomorrow, and he ran very good at 7.5. And he has a start on this turf course here at Louisiana Downs, so we know he likes it. 6-1, probably going to get touched up a little, maybe go off around 9-2 or 4-1, somewhere around there.
That's a good call. I like that call. The horse that finished behind him came back to score, so he's coming out of a live race in addition.
Yeah, quiet acceleration. All right, that is the Sunday Silence part of that undercard. Great card there, by the way. All stakes pick 4 with a $100,000 guarantee on that Louisiana Downs Super Derby card, so be sure and take a look at that. We're going to shift to Woodbine coming up next, and on the turf at a mile in this one in the La Prevoyante. And Rich, a deep group in here. I'm finally going with a price here. I know I've gone with some horses who are a little bit lower number-wise in here, but I'll give my selection here in a moment. It's a wide open group. Where are you going to go? I think there's a lot of opportunities to catch a price in here. Yeah,
one big sweeping turn in the mile there at Woodbine. I don't mind outside posts in that environment, and I'm going to pick one here. The number 10 horse, Isabella Bay, who's at 4-1 on the morning line. The race I'm looking at is 3 starts back, and the Ontario Damsel, Isabella Bay, was a good third. The horse that ran second there, Roxy Gap, is a very, very nice filly. Isabella Bay only a half length behind her. Next time out, tried the Wonder Where Stakes at 1.25 miles, and she ran like a horse that didn't want any part of 10 furlongs. In that Ontario Damsel, which was also run at 1 mile, Isabella Bay came the final quarter in 24 seconds flat. She can finish. She tried synthetic last time out. Not a bad effort in the Eternal Search, but she'll be better back on the turf in the La Prevoyante.
Interesting. I went to a runner who was right there with Isabella Bay in a stakes race at a mile and 16th at the end of their 2-year-old campaigns, who will be a price there. It's Dreamy Moonlight. The question with Dreamy Moonlight, I guess I should ask you about her turf pedigree. She's never been on the grass before. She's by Dance to Destiny out of a Migrating Moon mare. But every time she runs, Rich, she runs her A game. She's reeled off 2 in a row, both at 6 furlongs, and now they're going to stretch her back out. But she ran big in that South Ocean. That was the race against Isabella Bay when she just missed against her, when Isabella Bay, I believe in that race, went pretty much gate to wire in that spot. So she handled going longer distances in that spot. The question is, the turf, how will she handle it? What do you think?
Well, Greg, I would have to say that you're obviously not a big believer in the Tomlinson figures, because Dreamy Moonlight comes in at 194 for turf, which generally speaking would mean turn around and run the other way. But I haven't looked her up, and one thing I would say about these Ontario sired races is that what you're dealing with is horses by relatively obscure stallions, but they're all sons of, very, very prominent stallions. So somewhere in that pedigree, in the first couple generations, you're going to find quality.
Yeah, and before she just missed against Isabella Bay, she ran big against Inglorious as well. So I like her running lines, the company she's kept, and right now it looks like she's just in the best form of her career, kind of really rounding into good shape. So we'll see, and she's 10-1 on the morning line. That is the La Prevoyante. We move to Presque Isle Downs and the Masters, Grade 2. Probably the most wide open race we're going to be talking about during this entire show. There are prices all over the place in this spot. I was leaning, Rich, initially kind of towards the rail. But C.R. Trout says this filly, Shotgun Gulch, hates being down on the inside, and now she's going to have to work out a trip from there again.
Well, the first thing I want to say about this race is that the Presque Isle Downs Masters is upgraded to a Grade 2 this year. Last year, it was a Grade 3. You know why it was upgraded? Because this race has produced the winner of the last 2 Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprints. It's drawing that kind of a field. It has once again. You'll see horses coming out of this race and running in the Breeders' Cup this year. Now, I was leaning towards the 8-horse Jenny's So Great, who has won 4 of her last 5 sprints.
Uh-oh, you didn't like something, right?
Well, actually, I just found a horse I like better, and that's
Okay.
Ariana D, the number 11 horse, who's 10-1 on the morning line. Loves the synthetics. Has run very, very well in a couple of tries going long on the synthetic at Woodbine in her last couple of starts. I think she's better as a late-running sprinter. DeSormo's already won with her, and I would love her at that price.
Yeah, she is up there, as you mentioned, at 10-1. This is a look at her in action, Rich, back on August 20th when she missed a Stars to Shine, but she had a pretty wide trip in this race.
And again, Greg, this is a mile and the 16th. It's 2 turns, and you can see she's kind of one-paced at the end. Going around one corner, she could really finish.
I thought you might go to Musical Romance, who just missed in that Grade 1 Princess Rooney.
Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not quite that predictable.
All right, so you went elsewhere. The horse you were leaning to initially, you went elsewhere. I actually go to that horse.
Okay.
I like Jenny So Great in this spot. She moves to the Daniel Callahan barn now, and he says she is doing really, really well. I expect her to run a big one. This is the Royal North. She had tons of trouble in here. She was completely blocked. And then look what she does. She finally gets some running room, and then she opens up and wins this thing for fun. It was on turf, but she's won a couple of times on synthetic, and she is training lights out right now up there at Woodbine. Couple of back-to-back bullet drills. She is in sharp form. She's 4-1 on the morning line. She may go off as, I don't know, maybe around co-favorite in this spot. It looks like Jenny's So Great. Probably Musical Romance, Beat the Blues are the 3 that are going to take the most money in here.
Well, it's a good angle. The angle on Jenny So Great is similar to the angle that I'm using on Ariana D. You see horses that are competitive as they go back and forth between 1-turn races and 2-turn races, but I think that with Jenny So Great having won 4 of her last 5 sprints, she's probably better around 1 turn, and so I think is the mare that I selected.
All right, yeah, there are prices to be had. This is a great race to play. Take a look at that sequence out there at Presque Isle. That is a great race. So Grade 2, upgraded. What do you think? A chance for a three-peat, a winner to come out of there again?
Well, not that I played Dubai Majesty last year in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, but sure, why not? Informed Decision was the winner to start 2 years back.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Be sure to get signed up and started with TVG. And once you head to the website, you got to keep that account flowing. So you bet all these races that we are talking about, there's money to be made this weekend. Go to my account, deposit funds, and TVG Bet Cash. One of the ways to keep that account going and get down in all these races that we offer you here on TVG. We got one order of business left, Rich, and that is our play of the day. I'm confident we're going to have more than one winner. What do you think our over/under is as a team together this week?
As a team, I'm going to set the line at 5.
Ooh, I was going to go 4.5, but okay, I like that. Confidence. Where are you going to go with your play of the day?
All right, play of the day. Let's go back to Belmont Park on their Saturday card. I'm going to race number 10. It's a state-bred maiden special on the grass. The 7-horse Carson Bandit had a tremendous turf debut. On August the 14th, that was first-time grass. It was first time against New York breds. He's a son of Orientate. Remember, Orientate was a stakes winner going long on turf. You got Carson City on the bottom. Don't worry about that. Carson City is the broodmare sire of Barbaro and all of his kin. So you got grass top and bottom. Carson Bandit, an excellent second in his turf debut, gets a little more distance in race number 10 at Belmont tomorrow.
I went to Belmont as well. Race number 6. It's on the inner turf, 6 furlongs, 20 maiden claiming race. Bill Mott has a horse in here who's 7-2 morning line. Drink of the day. Jorge Chavez is going to hop aboard. This horse off the bench back on June 30th on the turf at Belmont. Missed by a half length, but has good tactical speed. got DQ'd out of that, place third, came back in a 25 maiden claiming race, had a trouble trip again. There's just not much that this horse has to face in this group this afternoon, or tomorrow afternoon in race 6 at Belmont. I think tomorrow is the day, third off the bench for the Belmont barn with that daughter of Artie Schiller, who has shown that she is capable on the grass. In fact, first 2 starts of her career, she ran against much better maiden special weight company, and she didn't embarrass herself. Are we going to look back? That's it. We have no more races to talk about. We got it all in, Rich. Are we going to look back maybe at this Super Derby and see a star in the making?
Well, it's possible. You know, the late developing 3-year-olds are always they're always cropping up, and horses we can be talking about between now and Breeders' Cup time. You might get one coming out of this race.
All right, we will see. Should be a fun weekend. Be sure and play all these races we're talking about at TVG.com. I'm back next week. With who? I don't know. But I'll see you next Friday. Coming up next, it's TVG Classic, and then Christina and Rich at 10.